The transport shuttle shuddered as it docked with Valoris Prime, the massive orbital station that housed the Galactic Military Academy. Hana Kim pressed her face against the small window, watching the metal arms of the docking bay extend like welcoming hands. Her heart hammered in her chest. This was it. Everything she had worked for, every test she had passed, every night she had studied until her eyes burned. She was here. The shuttle doors hissed open, and Hana stepped into the station's main corridor. The gravity felt slightly lighter than Earth's, making her steps feel bouncy and awkward. Around her, other new cadets moved with confidence. She saw a Luxan, its crystalline body refracting the station's lights into rainbow patterns. A Drukai warrior stomped past, its forearms carrying equipment bags with ease. A group of mind weavers floated by, their telepathic whispers creating a soft humming in the air. Hana adjusted the strap of her single bag and followed the flow of cadets toward the main entrance. Her Earth uniform felt plain and dull compared to the exotic clothing and natural features of the aliens around her. She kept her eyes forward and tried to look confident, even though her stomach twisted with nervousness. The main gate loomed ahead. It was a massive archway made of gleaming metal, with scanners and security checkpoints creating a bottleneck. Cadets lined up, passing through one by one. Hana joined the queue, standing behind a tall Korthan whose scaled skin shimmered green and gold. That was when she heard the first laugh. "Look at that one," a voice said in Coalition Standard, the common language everyone used. "An Earthborn." Hana's shoulders stiffened, but she did not turn around. She had expected this. Humans were new to the Coalition, barely 50 years since first contact. Most species still saw them as primitives who had gotten lucky. "I heard they need special equipment just to survive normal gravity," another voice added. This one belonged to a Luxan. Hana glanced to the side and saw him standing with a group of cadets who wore advanced academy uniforms. These were not first years. These were older students, probably here to watch the new arrivals. "Fragile little things," a third voice rumbled. A Drukai warrior stepped closer, looking down at Hana with 4 golden eyes. "Why does the Academy even accept Deathworlders? They will just slow everyone down." Hana kept her expression neutral. She had learned long ago that reacting to bullies only made things worse. The line moved forward, and she stepped closer to the scanner. "I give her 3 days before she quits," the Luxan said. His crystalline face could not smile, but his voice carried amusement. "Humans always break under pressure." 2 days, the Drukai countered. "I heard one quit during the first training session last cycle." More laughter echoed through the gate area. Hana felt heat rise to her face, but she forced herself to breathe slowly. In through the nose, out through the mouth, just like her father had taught her before he died. "Stay calm, stay focused." The Korthan in front of her passed through the scanner without incident. A soft blue light washed over its body, and the automated system announced, "Cadet verified. Proceed to orientation." Hana stepped forward. The scanner was a vertical ring of light that would read her biological signature, check for weapons or contaminants, and verify her academy credentials. She had been through similar scanners at the spaceport. This should be routine. She walked into the ring of light. Immediately, the blue light changed. It flashed red, bright, and angry. A harsh klaxon blared, making Hana jump. The automated voice that had been calm before now sounded sharp and commanding. "Earthborn detected potential hazard. Stand aside for enhanced screening." The laughter behind her exploded into jeering. Hana stood frozen in the scanner as the red light pulsed around her. Her face burned with humiliation. Every cadet in the area was staring at her now. "Potential hazard." The Luxan howled with laughter. "They are so primitive the scanner thinks they are contaminated." "Probably carrying diseases from that backward planet," another cadet added. The Drukai warrior crossed all 4 arms. Typical human. Cannot even pass basic security. Hana wanted to disappear. She wanted to turn around and walk back to the shuttle and go home to Earth. But she did not move. She stood in the red light and waited, even as the mocking voices grew louder around her. Heavy footsteps approached. A massive figure pushed through the crowd of cadets. Commander Vrel was a Korthan, one of the Coalition's most respected warrior species. His scales were dark gray, almost black, and scars crisscrossed his arms and face. He wore the instructor's uniform with multiple medals pinned to his chest. "Enough," Vrel growled, and the laughter died immediately. He walked up to the scanner and pulled out a handheld device, pressing buttons with thick fingers. The red light continued to pulse. Vrel stared at the readout, his eyes narrowing. He looked at Hana, then back at the scanner. For a long moment he said nothing. Then he muttered something under his breath that Hana could not quite hear. It sounded like special accommodations. "Step forward slowly," Vrel commanded. "Keep your hands visible." Hana obeyed, walking through the scanner as it bathed her in red light. On the other side, Vrel ran the handheld device over her body, checking readings that meant nothing to her. His expression was stern, almost annoyed. Finally, he deactivated the device. "You are cleared," he said curtly. "Report to Orientation Hall 7. Do not be late." "Yes, sir," Hana managed to say. Her voice came out smaller than she wanted. Vrel turned to address the crowd of watching cadets. "All of you move along. Entertainment is over." His voice carried authority that made even the older students scatter quickly. Hana grabbed her bag and hurried away from the gate. Behind her, she could still hear whispers and muffled laughter. Her hands trembled as she followed the directional signs toward Orientation Hall 7. "Give her a week," she heard the Drukai warrior Torvus say to the others as she passed. "Humans always break. It is just a matter of time." Hana's hands clenched into fists. The trembling stopped. She had faced bullies before, back on Earth. She had faced poverty after her father died. She had faced rejection from the first 3 academies she applied to. She had faced people telling her she was not good enough, not smart enough, not strong enough, and she was still here. The corridor stretched ahead of her, lined with windows that looked out into the stars. Somewhere out there, billions of kilometers away, was Earth, her home, the world that had made her who she was. Hana lifted her chin and kept walking. Let them laugh. Let them mock. Let them think she was weak. They would learn otherwise. The orientation hall doors opened before her, and Hana Kim stepped through without looking back. Behind her, the scanner's red light finally faded to blue, but the memory of its warning remained in everyone's mind. Earthborn. Potential hazard. Stand aside. Hana did not know it yet, but those words meant something very different from what everyone thought. The scanner had not detected weakness. It had detected danger. The training deck was enormous, stretching the length of 3 football fields. Hana stood in formation with her assigned squad, Squad Theta, trying to keep her breathing steady. Around her, the other squads looked impressive. Alien cadets with natural armor, enhanced strength, multiple limbs, and abilities that humans could only dream about. Beside Hana stood the only other humans in Squad Theta. Jiwon Park was tall and thin, with sharp eyes that constantly analyzed everything around him. He had barely spoken since they met. Minho Choi was shorter and muscular, with the confident swagger of someone who had never met a challenge he did not want to fight. He kept cracking his knuckles, a nervous habit that annoyed their alien squadmates. The rest of Squad Theta consisted of 4 aliens who had made their disappointment clear when they learned they were assigned humans. Haluksan named Riven towered over everyone, his crystalline body already marked with training scars. 2 Korthan siblings, Cressa and Vorn, stood with arms crossed, their scaled faces showing obvious displeasure. The 4th was a mindweaver called Nixara, who floated slightly above the ground and had not spoken a single word to the humans. Instructor Draxon stomped onto the training deck. He was a Vorgath, a species known for producing the Coalition's finest warriors. His body was covered in thick armor plating that looked like stone, and his eyes glowed orange beneath a heavy brow. Scars covered every visible part of him. Listen well, cadets. Draxon's voice boomed across the deck. Your first exercise begins now. You will enter the combat simulation arena. Your objective is simple. Survive for 30 minutes and retrieve the target beacon. Squads that fail will face additional training. Squads that succeed will earn rest privileges. A holographic display appeared above the deck, showing the arena layout. It was a nightmare of obstacles, elevated platforms, and what looked like automated defense turrets. One more thing, Draxon added with something that might have been a smile. The arena's gravity is set to standard Coalition parameters. That means 2.3 times Earth gravity. Hana's stomach dropped. She glanced at Jiwon and Minho. Both had gone pale. 2.3 G meant everything would feel more than twice as heavy. Their bodies, their equipment, even lifting their arms would be a struggle. Riven looked at the humans and made a sound like grinding crystal. Try not to collapse immediately, he said. It would embarrass the entire squad. The squads moved toward the arena entrances. Hana felt her legs trembling as she walked. This was going to be bad. The moment she stepped through the arena entrance, weight crashed down on her. Her knees buckled and she had to grab a wall support to stay upright. Every breath felt like dragging air through concrete. Her backpack, which held 20 kilograms of equipment, now felt like it weighed 50. "Move, Earthborn," Cressa snapped, pushing past her. The Korthan moved normally under the heavy gravity, as did the other alien squad mates. They bounded forward while Hana, Jiwan, and Minho struggled to walk. The 30 minutes were torture. Hana forced herself to move step by agonizing step. Her muscles screamed. Sweat poured down her face. Beside her, Jiwan was gasping for air, and Minho's confident swagger had vanished. He crawled on hands and knees behind cover while laser simulation fire peppered the area around them. The alien squad mates reached the target beacon first. They moved through the arena with practiced ease, using their natural advantages. Riven's crystalline body could refract laser fire. Cressa and Vorn's Korthan strength meant the heavy gravity barely affected them. Nixara simply floated above most obstacles, but they could not complete the objective. The final challenge required coordination between all squad members. 6 pressure plates had to be activated simultaneously, and the plates were spread across the arena. "Where are the humans?" Vorn roared into his communicator. Hana was 50 meters away, dragging herself toward a pressure plate. Her vision swam with black spots. Every muscle felt like it was tearing. But she kept moving. Beside her, Jiwan crawled forward, and somewhere behind them Minho cursed in Korean as he pulled himself over a barrier. They reached their assigned plates with seconds remaining. Hana threw herself onto hers and her weight triggered it. Jiwan and Minho did the same. The beacon activated. Mission complete, but the timer showed 32 minutes. Squad Theta had failed by 2 minutes. Later in the squad barracks, Riven threw his equipment bag against the wall. "We failed because of the humans," he said flatly. "They are too slow, too weak. It is not their fault they come from a low-gravity world," Nixara said quietly, speaking for the first time. But her tone suggested she agreed with Riven. Hana sat on her bunk and said nothing. She had no defense. They were right. She had been too slow. "Next exercise is tomorrow," Cressa said. Instructor Draxon announced it before we left. 72-hour endurance trial in the hostile environment deck. Jiwan looked up from where he was examining his equipment. "What kind of environment?" "Class 10 Death World simulation," Vorn answered. "Toxic atmosphere. Extreme temperatures. Aggressive fauna. Should be simple for anyone properly trained." He looked directly at the humans when he said it. That night, Hana could not sleep. Her body ached from the gravity exercise. Her mind raced with worry about the endurance trial. She had studied Death World classifications at the Academy prep courses. Class 10 meant a world barely habitable, where multiple environmental factors combined to create lethal conditions. In the bunk above her, she heard Jiwan moving. "You awake?" he whispered. "Yeah," Hana replied. "We need a plan," Jiwan said. "We cannot match them physically, but we can outsmart them." Minho's voice came from across the small room. "I am listening." For the next hour, they talked in whispers. Jiwan had smuggled in technical manuals about the hostile environment deck. Minho had combat training from his time in Earth's military reserves. Hana had survival experience from growing up in the Korean mountains after her family lost everything. They were not stronger than the aliens. They were not faster. They did not have natural armor or special abilities. But they were human, and humans had survived Earth, which the Coalition classified as a Class 12 death world, though the cadets did not know that yet. The endurance trial began at dawn. Instructor Draxon led all squads to the massive hostile environment deck, a biodome that could simulate any planet's conditions. The doors opened and heat blasted out like an oven. The air shimmered with toxic yellow vapors. 72 hours, Draxon announced. Survive. There are supply caches hidden throughout the environment. Find them or go without. Rescue extraction will only occur at the 72-hour mark or in case of critical medical emergency. Begin. Squads rushed into the biodome. The alien cadets moved with confidence, relying on their natural resistances. Luxons could filter toxins through their crystalline bodies. Korthons had thick scales that protected against temperature extremes. Mindweavers could sense danger telepathically. Squad Theta moved more slowly. The humans activated their environmental suits' filtration systems, which would protect them but had limited battery life. They needed to conserve power. This way, Jiwon said, pointing toward a rocky outcrop. We need shelter first, then water, then food. I will scout ahead, Minho offered, but Hana grabbed his arm. No, we stay together. That is how we survive. The first day was brutal. The temperature swung from blistering heat during the day to freezing cold at night. Toxic rain fell in the afternoon, forcing them to hide under makeshift shelters that Jiwon constructed from debris. The alien squad mates handled the conditions better, but even they struggled to find the supply caches. On the second day, Hana found water by watching where the simulated animals went to drink. Jiwon built a filtration system using parts from their equipment. Minho set traps for food, catching small creatures that the simulation had scattered throughout the environment. The alien squad mates were impressed despite themselves. Cressa admitted the shelter design was clever. Riven used the filtration system when his own water supply ran low. The third night was when everything changed. The ground shook. A roar echoed across the biodome, deeper and louder than any sound they had heard before. Through the toxic mist, something massive moved. Apex predator, Nixara warned, her mental voice tight with fear. It is coming toward our camp. The creature emerged from the darkness. It was the size of a transport shuttle, with 6 legs, armored hide, and jaws that could swallow a person whole. The simulation had been designed to include a challenge that required multiple squads to work together. But Squad Theta was alone in this sector. Panic rippled through the group. Riven prepared to fight. Vorn grabbed a weapon. Even Nixara's usual calm cracked. Wait, Hana said. Her mind raced. Fight was impossible. Flight was pointless. But maybe there was another option. The thermal vent, she said, pointing to a crack in the ground that had been venting superheated steam all day. Jiwon, can we collapse it? Jiwon's eyes widened. If we overload it with enough weight, yes. But how do we get the creature there? Minho grinned. You get something to chase you. What happened next would later be reviewed by Instructor Draxon with something approaching respect. Minho ran toward the creature, screaming and throwing rocks. The creature roared and gave chase. Minho led it toward the thermal vent while Jiwon and the others positioned large boulders. At the last second, Minho dove aside. The creature stampeded over the vent. Hana gave the signal. The squad pushed the boulders. The vent collapsed under the weight of stone and monster. Superheated steam exploded upward, and the creature fell into the crack with a simulated death roar. Silence fell over the biodome. Squad Theta stood together, breathing hard, staring at what they had accomplished. Riven looked at Hana. For the first time, there was no mockery in his crystalline eyes. That was clever, he said quietly. Hana nodded, too exhausted to speak. They had survived. Together. When extraction came at the 72-hour mark, Instructor Draxon watched the footage of the apex predator kill. He watched it 3 times. Interesting, he rumbled to himself. Very interesting indeed. The weeks following the endurance trial brought a strange shift in Squad Theta's dynamics. Riven no longer openly mocked the humans. Cressa and Vorn began asking Jiwon for his input during planning sessions. Even Nixara included the humans in her telepathic coordination exercises, but not everyone at the academy had learned the lesson. Hana walked through the training facility's corridor when she noticed something wrong with her locker. The door hung slightly open. Inside, her equipment had been tampered with. Someone had loosened the straps on her rappelling harness. In a high-gravity exercise, that could mean serious injury or death. They are getting bolder, Jiwon said, examining the sabotage. His fingers traced the deliberately cut stitching. This is the 3rd time this week. Minho slammed his fist against his own locker. I know who it is. Torvus and his friends. They cannot stand that we survived the endurance trial. It was true. The Drukai warrior had been spreading rumors throughout the academy. He told anyone who would listen that the humans had gotten lucky, that they had cheated somehow, that they were a liability waiting to happen. That afternoon, Torvus made his move publicly. He found Minho in the combat training center and challenged him to a duel in the practice pit. Academy rules allowed cadets to settle disputes through supervised combat. It was supposed to build warrior spirit. Minho accepted before Hana could stop him. The duel was brutal. Torvus had 4 arms, each stronger than Minho's 2. He had natural armor plating and a reach advantage. Minho fought with everything he had using speed and technique, but it was not enough. Torvus battered him down again and again. The rules said the fight ended when one combatant yielded or was unable to continue. Minho refused to yield. Even when his lip was split and his ribs were cracked, even when he could barely stand, he kept getting up. Finally, the instructors stopped the fight. Minho had to be carried to medical. Torva stood in the center of the pit, all four arms raised in victory while his friends cheered. Hana visited Minho in the medical bay. His face was swollen and he breathed carefully because of the injured ribs. The Academy's medical technology would heal him in a few days, but the humiliation would last longer. "I did not yield," Minho said through split lips. "He did not make me quit." "I know," Hana replied. She felt anger burning in her chest. This had to stop, but how? That night, unable to sleep, Hana made her way to the Academy's archive center. It was open 24 hours for cadets who wanted to study. She sat at a terminal and began searching through files. She started with Earth's coalition classification records. What she found made her hands freeze over the keyboard. Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world. Class 12. The scale only went to 15, and anything above 10 was considered barely habitable. The report detailed Earth's dangers: extreme weather systems, tectonic instability, aggressive microbial life, high gravity compared to most coalition worlds, dangerous fauna, and a toxic atmosphere that had required billions of years for life to adapt to oxygen. But that was not the shocking part. The shocking part was the biological threat assessment attached to human profiles. Hana clicked on the file and read words that made her heart race. Threat level: Amber. Species evolved on Class 12 death world exhibits extreme danger tolerance, heightened pain threshold, exceptional endurance, and problematic aggression response. Recommended protocols: enhanced screening at checkpoints, monitor for signs of stress-induced violence, limit exposure to extreme combat scenarios until behavioral baselines established. Hana read it again. Then a third time. The scanner had flagged her as a potential hazard not because humans were weak or contaminated. It flagged her because humans were dangerous. Cannot sleep either. Hana jumped. Jiwon stood behind her carrying a datapad. He looked at her screen and his eyes widened. "Did you know about this?" Hana asked. Jiwon shook his head. "No, but it makes sense." He pulled up a chair and started typing on his own pad. "Look at this. I found comparative biology reports. Human adrenaline response is 3 times stronger than the coalition average. Our pain tolerance is off the charts. We can continue fighting with injuries that would incapacitate most species." He pulled up more data. Most coalition species evolved on stable worlds with few predators. They developed intelligence and cooperation to survive. Humans evolved on a world that was actively trying to kill them every single day. We developed intelligence and cooperation and the ability to be incredibly violent when necessary. Hana stared at the data. It was all there. Humans could run farther than almost any other species. They could track prey for days. They could survive on minimal food and water. Their minds could push their bodies beyond normal limits through sheer willpower. "We are Deathworlders," Hana whispered. "Real ones." The next day, Squad Theta had a tactical combat exercise. The scenario was a simulated terrorist attack on a civilian station. Hostages were being held in a central chamber. Automated defenses protected the approach. The squad had to rescue the hostages without casualties. Other squads had attempted the scenario and failed. The standard approach was to use overwhelming force, but that triggered the defenses and resulted in hostage deaths. Hana studied the scenario layout and made a decision that shocked everyone. "I will go in alone first," she announced. "As bait." "That is suicide," Riven said immediately. "No," Hana replied. "It is tactical. The defenses will focus on me. While I draw their fire, Jiwon and Minho will flank from the ventilation system. The rest of you provide covering fire and prepare to extract the hostages." Cressa shook her head. "You will be cut down immediately." "Maybe," Hana said. "But I can take more hits than you think. Trust me." The exercise began. Hana sprinted toward the central chamber, deliberately exposing herself. The automated defenses locked onto her immediately. Simulated laser fire peppered her body armor. Pain sensors activated, sending feedback that felt like real injuries. Warning lights flashed on her suit. Most species would have gone down. The simulation was designed to inflict damage that exceeded normal pain thresholds. Hana kept running. The pain was intense, but she had broken bones before. She had trained through injuries. This was just simulation. She could handle it. Behind the defenses, Ji-won and Minho emerged from the ventilation system. While the automated guns focused on Hana, they disabled the control systems. The rest of Squad Theta rushed in and extracted the hostages. Mission complete. 0 casualties. Hana collapsed after they crossed the finish line. Her body trembled from the simulated pain, but she was smiling. They had won. Instructor Draxon reviewed the footage in front of the entire class. He froze the frame on Hana, running through weapons fire that should have dropped her.
This, Draxon said slowly, is what we call Deathworlder tenacity.
Cadet Hana Kim sustained damage equivalent to multiple serious injuries. Any standard coalition species would have been incapacitated. She continued the mission. He looked directly at Torvus. Some of you have questioned whether humans belong in this academy. Let me be clear. Humans belong here precisely because they are different. They bring capabilities we cannot train into other species. The room was silent. Cadets who had mocked the humans now looked uncomfortable. Some looked uneasy, as if seeing Hana and the others for the first time. After class, Commander Vrel summoned Hana to his office. She stood at attention while the massive Korthan studied her with dark eyes. You have been researching Earth's classification, Vrel said. It was not a question. Yes, sir. Good. Then you understand what you are. Vrel leaned forward. The Coalition admitted humans to this academy as an experiment. We wanted to see if Deathworlders could be integrated into our military structure. Some officials feared you would be too violent, too unpredictable. Others believed you would be too weak to survive our training. He paused. You are proving both groups wrong. You are neither uncontrollably violent nor weak. You are something else entirely. What is that, sir? Hana asked. Vrel's expression was unreadable. You are survivors. Your species spent millions of years being hunted by creatures stronger and faster than you. You learned to hunt back. You learned to outlast anything. You learned that pain is temporary, but quitting is permanent. He stood and walked to the window overlooking the training deck. We need to talk about what you are, Cadet Kim, because the galaxy is about to learn, and not everyone will be happy about it. Hana felt a chill run down her spine. Sir, next week, Valoris Prime will face Korvax Station in the Gauntlet. It is a competition between academies. Our champion squad was injured in a training accident. Vrel turned to face her. Squad Theta has been selected as the replacement. Hana's eyes widened. Sir, we are not ready. We have only been training for... I know exactly how long you have been training, Vrel interrupted. And I know what you are capable of. The question is, do you? He dismissed her with a wave. As Hana left his office, her mind raced. The Gauntlet. The most prestigious competition in the Academy system, and Squad Theta, with its 3 human cadets, would represent Valoris Prime. She found Ji-won and Minho in the barracks and told them the news. Minho's response was immediate. Good. Let us show these aliens what Earthborns can really do. Ji-won was more cautious. We will need to train harder than we ever have. The Gauntlet is no simulation. It is real combat with real consequences. Hana looked at both of them. Her friends. Her fellow humans. Her squad. Then we train, she said simply. We show them that the scanner was right to flag us. Not because we are weak, because we are dangerous. And for the first time since arriving at Valoris Prime, Hana Kim smiled with full confidence. The Deathworlders were ready to hunt. The announcement of Squad Theta's selection for the Gauntlet spread through Valoris Prime like wildfire. In the dining hall, Hana could feel eyes on her from every direction. Some cadets looked curious. Others looked skeptical. A few looked angry. This is a mistake, she heard someone mutter. Sending humans to represent the Academy? We will be humiliated. Ji-won sat across from Hana, eating methodically while reading reports on his data pad. Korvax Station has not lost the Gauntlet in 7 years, he said quietly. Their champion squad is legendary, led by someone called Captain Kryn. What species? Minho asked, leaning forward. Vorgath. Same as Instructor Draxon. Ji-won pulled up an image. A massive figure covered in stone-like armor plating, with glowing eyes and scars that told stories of countless battles. He has never been defeated in personal combat. Minho cracked his knuckles. There is always a first time. Hana wished she felt as confident. The weight of the entire Academy's reputation now rested on their shoulders. She could see it in how the other cadets looked at them. Doubt, fear of failure, embarrassment that humans would represent Valoris Prime. That evening, Squad Theta gathered in a private training room. All 7 members were present, including their alien squad mates who had slowly become something like friends. Riven spoke first, his crystalline voice serious. We need to acknowledge the reality. Korvax's squads are better trained, better equipped, and more experienced. If we fight them using standard tactics, we will lose. Then we do not use standard tactics, Hana replied. We use human tactics. Cressa tilted her scaled head. What are human tactics? Hana glanced at Jiwon and Minho. How could she explain what humans had learned over millions of years of being the underdog? We fight dirty, Minho said with a grin. We cheat. We use every advantage we can find or create. That is dishonorable, Vorn protested. No, Jiwon corrected. It is practical. Humans did not survive Earth by being the strongest or the fastest. We survived by being clever and absolutely refusing to quit. We ambushed predators larger than us. We used tools and traps. We worked together to take down threats we could never face alone. Nixara floated closer, her telepathic presence thoughtful. You use asymmetric warfare. Attack where the enemy is weakest, not where they are strongest. Exactly, Hana confirmed. Korvax will expect us to fight like every other coalition squad. They will expect honor duels and straightforward tactics. We give them chaos instead. For the next week, Squad Theta trained like never before. Hana pushed them through scenarios that other squads would never consider. Ambush tactics, psychological warfare, exploiting environmental hazards, turning the enemy's strengths into weaknesses. Jiwon spent hours designing custom equipment modifications. He created smoke grenades that used chemical compounds irritating to specific alien species. He modified their armor's sensors to detect weaknesses in enemy formations. He even programmed false signals to confuse opponent tracking systems. Minho trained everyone in close-quarters combat, teaching techniques that were brutal and efficient rather than pretty. Fight to survive, not to look good, he repeated endlessly. The alien squadmates struggled at first with these concepts. They had been raised in cultures that valued honor and direct confrontation. But slowly they began to understand. Survival was not about pride. It was about winning. The day of the gauntlet arrived. Transport shuttles carried both academies to a neutral station designed specifically for the competition. The station was massive, containing multiple combat arenas, survival zones, and challenge areas. Hana walked off the shuttle and immediately felt the weight of scrutiny. Hundreds of cadets from both academies lined the arrival bay. When they saw Squad Theta, whispers rippled through the crowd. Those are the humans? Valoris must be desperate. This will be over quickly. A figure pushed through the crowd. Captain Kryn stood before them, and he was even more intimidating in person. He looked down at Hana with eyes that glowed like molten metal. So, Kryn's voice rumbled like an earthquake. Valoris sends Deathworlders. I have heard about you, Earthborn. You survived the endurance trial. Impressive for primitives. Hana met his gaze without flinching. We will do more than survive, Captain. Kryn laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. I look forward to seeing you try. The gauntlet consisted of 5 challenges spread over 3 days. Each challenge tested different aspects of squad capability: combat, survival, strategy, endurance, and adaptability. Points were awarded for performance, and the academy with the most total points won. The first challenge was zero-gravity combat in a debris field. Squads had to navigate through floating wreckage while engaging in simulated battles. Most coalition species struggled with zero-G because their evolution had not prepared them for it. Humans, however, adapted to zero-G surprisingly well. Hana, Jiwon, and Minho moved through the debris field like they had been born to it, using 3-dimensional thinking that came naturally to a species that climbed trees for millions of years. Squad Theta won the first challenge. The crowd watched in stunned silence. The second challenge was a survival scenario in a frozen wasteland. Teams had to build shelter, find food, and survive for 24 hours in sub-zero temperatures. Korvax's squad used their natural cold resistance and standard survival protocols. Squad Theta used Jiwon's engineering skills to build a shelter that trapped and recycled heat. They used Minho's hunting techniques to catch food efficiently. They worked in shifts so someone was always alert. A human strategy born from ancestors who had to watch for predators at night. Squad Theta won the second challenge. Now people were paying attention. The third challenge was strategic warfare simulation. 2 squads faced each other in a complex urban environment with objectives to capture. This was where Korvax's experience should have dominated, but Hana had a plan. Instead of facing Kryn's squad directly, Squad Theta used hit-and-run tactics. They set traps. They attacked from unexpected angles. They used the environment itself as a weapon, collapsing buildings and flooding streets to control Kryn's movement. It was frustrating, chaotic, and completely unlike how coalition squads normally fought. Squad Theta won the third challenge by a narrow margin. Korvax Station was no longer laughing. The fourth challenge was pure endurance, a marathon through hostile terrain while carrying heavy equipment. This should have been where the humans failed. Their smaller size and lower muscle mass compared to species like Vorgath or Drukai meant they could not match raw strength. But endurance was not about strength. It was about refusing to quit. Hana, Jiwon, and Minho had grown up on a high-gravity world. Their bodies were built for endurance running, a trait that had helped human ancestors hunt by literally running prey to exhaustion. While the stronger alien species burst ahead initially, they tired. The humans maintained a steady pace that never stopped. Squad Theta won the fourth challenge. The score was now heavily in Valoris Prime's favor. One challenge remained. The final test was always the most difficult: full combat simulation. 2 squads entered an arena designed like a war zone. The objective was to capture the enemy's flag while defending your own. No rules except no permanent injuries. This was where Korvax had never lost. The night before the final challenge, Commander Vrel visited Squad Theta's quarters. The massive Korthan looked at each of them in turn. "Tomorrow, you face the best squad Korvax has produced in a decade," Vrel said. "They are stronger than you. They are more experienced. On paper, you should lose. But we are not going to lose, are we, sir?" Hana asked. Vrel's expression might have been a smile. "No, because they have made a critical mistake. They still think of you as weak primitives. They do not understand what you really are." "What are we, sir?" Minho asked. "You are Earthborn," Vrel replied. "You come from a world that tried to kill your species for millions of years. You learned to kill it back. That makes you the most dangerous thing in this competition." He left them with those words. That night, Hana could not sleep. She thought about Earth, about her father who had taught her to never give up, about every person who had doubted her. Tomorrow, all of it came down to one battle. She found Jiwon on the observation deck staring out at the stars. "Nervous?" she asked. "Terrified," Jiwon admitted, "but also excited." "We have come so far." Minho joined them, grinning. "Cannot sleep either." "Good. Let us talk strategy one more time." They planned until dawn. Every possibility, every contingency, every trick they could think of. When the sun rose over the neutral station, Squad Theta walked toward the final arena. The entire academy system was watching. This was the moment that would define them. In the prep room, Hana looked at her squad. Riven, who had once mocked her, now stood ready to fight beside her. Cressa and Vorn, who had doubted humans, now trusted them with their lives. Nixara, who had been silent, now shared her thoughts freely. Jiwon and Minho, her fellow Earthborns who had become like family. "They think we are weak," Hana said quietly. "Let us show them what Deathworlders really are." The arena doors opened. The final battle was about to begin. And somewhere in the crowd, the scanners that had once flagged humans as potential hazards were about to be proven absolutely correct. The arena's announcement system boomed. "Victory, Squad Theta, Valoris Prime." Silence filled the arena. Then the crowd exploded. Hana released Kryn's leg and collapsed onto her back, breathing hard. Every part of her body hurt. Her suit was damaged in a dozen places. But they had won. Kryn stood over her and slowly extended his massive hand. Hana took it, and the Vorgath captain pulled her to her feet with surprising gentleness. "You fought like no coalition squad I have ever faced," Kryn said. His glowing eyes studied her. "Where did you learn such tactics?" "Earth," Hana replied simply. "We learned to fight things bigger and stronger than us. We learned that winning is more important than looking honorable while losing." Kryn nodded slowly. "I understand now why the scanners flag your species as threats. You are not dangerous because you are strong. You are dangerous because you refuse to accept defeat." The crowd poured into the arena. Valoris Prime cadets lifted Squad Theta onto their shoulders, cheering. Even cadets who had mocked the humans weeks ago now celebrated with them. Commander Vrel pushed through the crowd to reach Hana. The Korthan's scarred face showed open pride. "Come with me," he said quietly. Vrel led Hana back to Valoris Prime, to the main entrance where she had been humiliated on her first day. The security scanner still stood there, its ring of light waiting. "Step through," Vrel commanded. Hana walked into the scanner. The light flared red. The klaxon sounded. The automated voice announced, "Earthborn detected potential hazard. Stand aside for enhanced screening." But this time, Hana smiled. Vrel pointed to a display panel that most people never noticed. It showed the scanner's detailed readout. "The scanner does not detect weakness, Cadet Kim. It detects lethality. You were flagged because human biology registers as a threat on multiple parameters." He pulled up the data. Threat assessment, high, reasons listed. Extreme pain tolerance. Exceptional endurance. Dangerous when injured. High aggression potential. Refusal to submit to superior force. Every species we admit to this academy passes through that scanner, Vrel explained. Most register as minimal threat. Some register as moderate. Humans register as high threat. The only species with a higher rating are apex predators from Class 15 death worlds, and we do not recruit those species because they are too unstable. Hana stared at the readout. All this time, the scanner had been correct. She was a potential hazard, not because she was weak, but because her species had survived Earth by becoming dangerous. The Coalition feared humans at first, Vrel continued. Some still do. But after today, after watching what you accomplished, I think fear is appropriate. Not fear that you will harm us. Fear that we will have to face enemies that you are fighting. He placed a heavy hand on her shoulder. You are promoted to squad leader. Jawan and Minho will assist in training new human cadets. The academy is increasing human recruitment. We need more Death Worlders. Word of Squad Theta's victory spread through the entire coalition. Applications to Valoris Prime from human candidates increased by 300%. Other academies began recruiting humans as well. Riven approached Hana in the dining hall a week later. The Luxon who had once mocked her now stood with respect. I owe you an apology, Riven said stiffly. I judged you without understanding what you were. I was wrong. We are all learning, Hana replied. Humans are learning how to fit into the coalition. The coalition is learning what humans can do. A new class of cadets arrived that afternoon. Hana stood at the observation window watching them enter the main gate. She saw the looks of nervousness on the human faces. She saw the mocking expressions on some of the alien cadets. She watched as a young human woman stepped through the scanner. The light flared red. The klaxon sounded. Earthborn detected. Potential hazard. Stand aside for enhanced screening. Laughter echoed through the gate area. The young woman's face flushed with humiliation. Hana walked down to the gate. The crowd parted for her now. She approached the young cadet. What is your name? Hana asked. Suji, the girl replied quietly. Suji Kang. Listen to me, Suji. That scanner just flagged you as a potential threat. Do you know why? Suji shook her head, looking miserable. Because you come from Earth, a Class 12 death world. A planet so dangerous that surviving it made humanity into something the galaxy has never seen before. Hana pointed at the red warning light. That scanner is correct. You are dangerous, not because you are trying to be, because evolution made you that way. She gestured around at the watching cadets. Let them laugh now. They laughed at me too. Then I showed them what Earthborns can do. You will do the same. Suji looked up and Hana saw the fear in her eyes being replaced by something else. Determination. Will it be hard? Suji asked. Yes, Hana replied honestly. You will face challenges that seem impossible. You will be mocked. You will doubt yourself, but you will also discover strengths you never knew you had, because you are human. We are survivors. We are adaptable. We refuse to quit, Hana smiled. Welcome to Valoris Prime, Cadet Kang. Welcome to the academy that will teach you what it really means to be a Death Worlder. She turned to leave, then paused. One more thing. When that scanner flashes red for you, be proud. It means you are exactly what the galaxy needs. As Hana walked away, she heard Suji ask Commander Vrel a question. Sir, what does the red warning really mean? Vrel's response carried across the gate area, loud enough for everyone to hear. It means stand aside. Not because Earthborns are weak, but because when Death Worlders stand, the galaxy should pay attention. The red light continued to flash. The klaxon continued to sound. But this time, the young human cadet stood in its glow with her head held high. Earthborn, potential hazard. Stand aside. The scanner had always told the truth. The galaxy was finally learning to listen.